Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we're rolling along on a Tuesday night slate here, Nate, with a couple games, bunch of players missing as always. Make sure you do like and subscribe to that page, as we've got a couple other videos up for you today as well. We're going to be looking at the Cleveland Cavaliers headed to the New Orleans Pelicans tonight. As we mentioned, players in health and safety protocol, a couple guys with some other injuries as well. So we'll make sure to get you all that info. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, the Cavs are -5 right now at New Orleans, and the total opened at 210. It went up to 214.5 and is now hovering at 212 there. So some exploitable numbers to talk about, but quickly whipping around the other games. We got Bucks -14 at the Magic, who are down about 10 players. The Raptors down about 10 players, or +7 against the Sixers at home. They might get Siakam and Gary Trent and Kem Birch back tonight, though. Heat -6.5 at home against the Wizards. They do have Jimmy Butler back. No Kyle Lowry, though. Wolves are +4 on the second leg of a back-to-back. They host the Knicks at home, and the Rockets are +5 at home against the Lakers, who have lost 5 straight. The Nuggets are +7 at the Warriors. We will break that one down for you in a separate episode. And finally, the Thunder +5 at the Kings to round out this Tuesday slate. Look, the Cavs have really made some tough decisions with their key guys, their young defensive core out over the past few games. They've got helped out by the schedule for sure, because the teams they've faced have also been extremely shorthanded. But their offensive lineup, you just look at their last game, a starting lineup of Darius Garland, Ricky Rubio, Lauri Markkanen, Kevin Love, and Dean Wade was just utterly fantastic. They shot as a team 22 for 52 from three and had 39 assists. Garland was a +37. Kevin Love only played 18 minutes and had 22 points on 6 for 9 from three. And now they face a Pelicans team that's 26 in three-point defense. That's coughing up the ball at the 10th, one of the 10th highest rates. That's not scoring much from beyond the arc, and that is probably going to be without its best player in Brandon Ingram. And the Pels are 0-7 with scoring just 100.7 points per game in the 7 games without Ingram this season. Their defensive rating jumps up from 111 to 119.5 without him. A lot of that samples from when they were a different team, when they were clearly one of the worst teams in the league. And Josh Hart kind of helped turn that around with some great play on both ends of the floor, but he's questionable tonight with a sprained ankle. Valanciunas expected to play through a non-COVID illness, but that's also not a great sign for New Orleans, which is 4-8 straight up at home, or when listed as home underdogs, and 4-8 straight up against the Eastern Conference. I don't think that they're going to be able to keep pace offensively with this Cavs team. And if the spread's just at -5, I wouldn't really have a problem with taking that. But I think there's some interesting ways to tease this so that you can get better juice on another game. We talk about getting the Warriors down a little bit or getting that total down, maybe getting the total down in this game as it is at 212. If you get it at 208 or so, the Cavs are scoring 122 points per game and playing at the 8th fastest pace in their last 4 games. That is way up in terms of pace since they lost Mobley and Allen, because before those guys went down, they were playing a real throwback style with 2 bigs on the floor. And it's strange, just without Mobley, they're scoring about 5 more points per game, 113 on the season. And their defensive rating rises a lot without Jared Allen. So the Pelicans should still be able to score on the other end. Pelicans also probably missing Nickeil Alexander-Walker. In fact, he's out in protocols, and I don't think they have the defensive personnel to run with this Cavs team on the perimeter the way they've been moving the ball and shooting from deep lately. They also score a bit more on the road, get more free throw attempts. It all just speaks to over from a Cleveland perspective, and their team total is 110. But I think you can exploit just if the total continues to hover around 211, 210, I think you can exploit that along with the Cavs win.
Yeah, I think you can. I mean, I'm thinking all Cavs here. I love the sort of, I think the key that you found to this game is, yes, Cleveland has been scoring a ton of points in their last four. They also, by the way, have the best defensive rating in their last four. And you mentioned why that is. They're playing a bunch of teams that even when they played a few good teams in that time span, they've been missing all of their players. See the Bucks, and even the Raptors. I'm not calling them good, but you're still playing their B team as they were missing so many guys. But yeah, they've scored, their total in this game is 100 actually it's down to 108.5 is their team total on FanDuel right now, which I really, really love. They've scored 109 points in 6 of their last 8 games. And all 4 of those that they haven't had Evan Mobley as in those last 4. And then Jared Allen's missed a couple of them as well, but they've still been scoring. And like I said, that defensive rating still down to about 96 in that time frame because they're blowing teams out who don't have their players. And such is the case tonight. So, I think Valanciunas is probably expected to play, but if you've got, Ingram doubtful, almost definitely out, plus all, Josh Hart even, who's been huge for them as of late, but is questionable tonight, leaning towards probably out as well. There's nobody on the other side of the ball to really stop Cleveland. That's why my favorite bet for sure is their 108.5 points over tonight for Cleveland. And as far as the over for that game, I'm also not too scared of it, just because on the road, like you said, Cleveland does play at least a little bit faster, and at home, when they are home dogs, the Pelicans at least hang around a little bit more, covering 7 out of those 12 games where they've been home dogs this season. And look, I think in this one, I'm just really feeling good about Cleveland's offense, and that's where I'm sticking with all of these bets tonight, is taking them to hit their team total. I think Darius Garland, once again, if you do like what he's been doing as of late, I mean, look, he's catapulting himself into the conversation of at least a top 3 guard in the East, especially right now with so many players missing. And I think you can continue to seek his stats tonight. 3 3-pointers and a win for the Cavs, which I think we both really are liking the Cavs to win this one, no matter what, with so many guys missing for New Orleans, and the fact that lineup, like you mentioned, for Cleveland is playing so well together. That small ball lineup, it's still getting boards with Kevin Love at the 5, and getting a ton of ball movement as their second in assists in those last 4 games. We've got Rubio and Garland moving all over the place, and Markkanen even coming back from his injuries and at least providing them a pretty nice spark in their last 4 as his minutes have gone way up with all those guys missing for Cleveland. Plus 3-pointers for Darius Garland and a win for Cleveland, plus 240 on your money. I really like that bet on top of just taking their team total. And really, once again, I'm going over in this one, and I'm not too scared of that spread. I think you can even consider a little bit of a -5 and over 212, or -5 and over 108.5 for the Cavs, and still get about plus 250 on your money at FanDuel if you like either of those parlayed with them to either win or take that -5 spread, like I said, and feel really, really good about even better odds there, because that -5 spread plus the over there gets you about plus 300. And if you, like I said, if you just like the money line for the Cavs and that over as well, you still get plus 180. So a lot of ways to get some really good juice with the Cavs winning tonight and scoring some points.
Yeah, it's not as if teams are intentionally disrespecting the Cavs and benching players, but it seems like they don't necessarily treat them seriously as an Eastern Conference contender. And it's just, in some ways, it's just lucky circumstance that as they continue to roll out this lineup where they trade defense for offense, they're facing teams that can't really match them in the scoring department because they're so shorthanded. And now they're facing a Pelicans team that's 25th in defensive efficiency at home. And I'm certainly rolling with you on that pick of them to cover and get over their team total if Josh Hart is out, because I just don't think there would be much fight in this team without that kind of veteran presence on the wing there. I don't know if the Pelicans can score, so that's why I would look at the Cavs team total in that regard. But their offensive rating of 120 and a defensive rating around 98 in their last 4, that still gets you over this total. If there's 100 possessions in this game. And the way they've been playing at the 8th fastest pace, you do expect that. Yeah. So I think, it's a case where there's a little bit of bias in the way the total is set up here because of how the Cavs played earlier this season. And you look at their numbers, and they don't go over very often at all. But you got to shrink down the sample size when we're dealing with this COVID season and who's been out lately and how the Cavs have adjusted to play right now. And really, it's just been spread it out. it's almost a 7 seconds or less offense where they're just chucking threes, and when they go in, they're gonna put up a ton of points.
Yeah, and I think that'll continue to be the case. And you're totally right. Make sure, that when you're looking at these games and trying to break things down, you're not necessarily just looking at the entire season. Been about 35, 36 games played by most teams at this point. It's been a tale of, 3 to 4 different seasons when you've got guys, multiples of guys, important guys missing 5, 6, 7 games in a row for teams. You can't really worry about that larger sample size when it's just going to be, you have to put a magnifying glass on it to see who's actually suited up and who's suited up for the other team as well. So good thing we have all that info up for you guys on thelines.com, playpicks.com. Make sure you are staying on top of this NBA injury and COVID health and safety protocol news to make sure you're getting in those correct bets. We've got a couple other videos up for you today, including that player props one. So make sure you are liked and subscribed, as we've got a gift card opportunity in there for you as well. And until we see you next, happy betting.